They had become the police of the Islamic world. However, a bitter soreness born from betrayal was brewing for America, their former allies. In 1991, a new war was waged against Saddam Hussein for his invasion of oil-rich Kuwait, a country with enormous American investment. Prior to this, America, via its dubious tentacles, namely the CIA, had aided Saddam's rise to power during the Iran-Iraq War. Saudi Arabia, bordering Kuwait, felt threatened by Saddam's army and turned to the USA, a non-Muslim power, for defense. In the eyes of the Muslim world, the leaders of Saudi Arabia had turned to a non-Islamic force for the defense of the cradle of Islam. A strange and unacceptable dilemma. To add insult to injury, after the war against Saddam was won, America decided to set up a permanent base in Saudi Arabia. In the eyes of Osama bin Laden and the majority of the conscious Muslim world, this act defaced Islam's sacred sites. For his blatant outspokenness against the restrictive Saudi monarchy, bin Laden was stripped of his citizenship and publicly disowned by his family. Enraged and infuriated, bin Laden declared unlimited war on all Americans, soldiers, and civilians. An act outside of the fold of Islam.
A few months ago, and again this week, bin Laden publicly vowed to wage a terrorist war against America, saying, and I quote, "We do not differentiate between those dressed in military uniforms and civilians. They're all targets. Their mission is murder, and their history is bloody."
In 1992, bin Laden found a new home in Sudan, a nation of Islamic people being ruled by an Islamic system of government. Bin Laden contributed significantly to this poor African country by building roads and hospitals. According to the CIA, bin Laden used Sudan as a cover for international terrorist training camps. In December 1992, American troops once again found themselves in another Muslim country, Somalia, with allegedly noble intentions. Once again, this was viewed by the Muslim world as an extension of American control, a base to monitor and suppress any Islamic uprising. When the World Trade Center was bombed in 1993, Sudan was caught in America's political backlash, as heavy sanctions were waged upon them, and they were branded with the dubious title, "A State that Sponsors Terrorism." In 1995, Sudan felt America's military fury when a pharmaceutical store was targeted and innocent people were killed. American intelligence reported that this store was a haven for terrorist activities. Sudan renounced these claims and opened the investigations, which were later internationally confirmed. The findings showed that the store was just that, a store, and nothing more. Not only did this show the unreliability of American intelligence information, but also its clear neglect for Muslim lives. In 1998, terror struck a double blow in Kenya and Tanzania almost simultaneously. American embassies were targeted by a truck bomb. What shocked the world was the majority of casualties were poor African Muslims. The terrorists were prepared to kill their own to further their cause. Those who perpetrated these horrendous acts have lost their humanity and have become like wild beasts with only one thought in mind, to devour their prey. These persons, so depraved, only want to bring death and destruction because of their hatred for the United States of America. Whenever any human being is deprived of justice, the mind becomes imbalanced. The greater the injustice, the greater the imbalance. In a balanced world, institutions are established for the redress of grievances, and with this facility of expression, rage and frustration can be quenched and abated. The terrorists did not target the beautiful island of Barbados or Switzerland. These are not random, meaningless acts. So why is America so hated?
America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world.
Unfortunately, this self-indulgent nursery rhyme answer alone strips him of credibility as a leader in tune with the reality of the world outside of America. After the Gulf War, over 500,000 children died because of US sanctions. Innocent children, hidden from the eyes of the media and the tears of the outside world. Palestinians die daily at what they see as an oppressive and heavy-handed Israeli government, supported politically and financially by America. You have bin Laden, we have Sharon, they say. In this world, there is no shortage of hostility for America because of their actions, past and present. Any clear definition of what constitutes terrorism is being avoided, as America is afraid it may first have to turn its anti-terrorism guns on itself.
Coleman McCarthy is the director of the Center for Teaching Peace. He's a professor at Georgetown Law School and teaches at American University.
We have a history of bombing countries. In the past 20 years alone, we've bombed Libya, Grenada, Panama, Somalia, Afghanistan, Sudan, Iraq, and before that, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Congo, Indonesia, Guatemala. We are, as Martin Luther King said, the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today is my own government. Until we disarm and de-escalate our war machine, we're going to be hated around the world.
Clearly, by any dictionary definition, America is an international terrorist, exporting intimidation and intrigue. It is interesting to note that the USA controls over 70% of the international market in weapons. The US peddles products of destruction to so-called undemocratic regimes and unstable regions across the planet. Of the 48 regional wars going on today, 39 involve US weapons, and since World War II, over 40 million people have died in these conflicts, largely women and children. In a recent CNN poll, would you accept more government involvement into your life if it meant greater security? 70% voted yes. Now the coalition governments have people so scared that they are willing to give up their personal freedom in exchange for totalitarianism. The CIA has failed the people it has sworn to represent. The CIA gladly takes the bullet for not being more prepared. They say with more funding diverted from schools and health, they will be better equipped to protect the nation. Now that the government recognizes the need for greater intelligence, the CIA will no doubt be dusted off and restored to its former seat of power, a seat that it has not sat on since the Cold War era.
The CIA and NSA have depended on Project Echelon, a multinational electronic snooping system with keyword retrieval.
Think of Echelon as an internet search engine. And if you're smart, you don't use a word like bomb and trade center and hijack and flight lesson. You don't use keywords that are going to tip people off. While they're up over there, you're just sucking up like a vacuum cleaner every single transmission. Cell phones, faxes, radios, telephone calls, HF, VHF, and so on. And what happens is all that data is collected, and then it's run through computers, and then it has to get sifted down to where we have people who are fluent in the language.
Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Bush and his henchmen now have their witch hunt. They have set up the basic validation to take away freedom, the same freedom they profess to uphold. Layer by layer, they will peel away until the world is their extension. Now it is impossible to separate any non-American ideology from terrorist ideology. Any group calling for an Islamic government is seen as a terrorist group. This word is being bastardized, and it will be used to drive fear into a jittery Western people. All that stands outside of democracy and Western values will be painted with this brush.
Their leaders are self-appointed. They want to overthrow existing governments in many Muslim countries, such as Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. They want to drive Israel out of the Middle East.
So, is it really about terrorism, or is the agenda wider? Although Blair and Bush have reassured the world that it is not a war against the